Welcome back to the program. South Africa's President Jacob Zuma is set to meet the chairperson of the Commonwealth Games Federation, Louis Martin, to discuss the hosting of the 2022 Games. Yesterday, Sports Minister Fikile Mbalula says the country cannot afford to live beyond its means and has suggested the cost of hosting the event in Durban as planned is now prohibitive. Durban was awarded the Games in 2015 after being the only city to make a confirmed bid. So let's get more on this story from our sports correspondent, Yemi Adebayo, who joins us live in the studio. You're welcome to the program, Yemi.
Thank you, Tokwe.
What has changed between the time South Africa won the hosting rights and now?
Financial constraints, it's a new trend. It's not just an African thing. It's happening everywhere. The estimated budget was 3 to 4 million rand. But now they're looking at it that to successfully host the next Commonwealth Games, they might need about 12 to 13 billion rands, and that's why Fikile Mbalula, as blunt as it always is, it's saying it's prohibitive. It's not going to be good. It's going to have a lot of implication on the South African economy. That's why they are testing the waters, so to speak, just throwing it out there that look, if there's a plan B, let's have it. If we can do it with 3 to 4 billion rand, fine. But if it must cost us that much, and the problem really is, if you give a guarantee, it means that between your estimated budget and what it actually costs to host a competition of that magnitude, you have to find the money. That's usually the problem. So they are stylishly trying to back out if it's going to cost them that
Is
much.
it only financial constraint, or could it also be lack of sporting facilities as well?
No, that would be unfair to the South Africans. They've hosted all the big sporting events, the Rugby World Cup, cycling, there's cricket. I mean, the Commonwealth, in my opinion, it's not as big as the World Cup. They've hosted it. It's something that is happening, like I said, is a new trend. Look at Japan, for instance, that's going to host the next Olympics. The cost for hosting the Olympics is now 4 times the estimated budget when they won the bid, even though the guys from Tokyo are not saying what these guys are saying. But you look at the Olympics that's going to come after Tokyo. Even the guys in the bidding process are already going out. There's Rome, there's Budapest, and one other country because of the financial constraints. And that's why Durban, the Durban city of South Africa, taking what some people have called the sensible approach to this. And also, we also hear that Liverpool is waiting in the wings that if Durban is not able to host that they would step in.
But will there be any penalty if South Africa decides not to host this event?
It's not up to the South Africans alone. You even in your intro, you realize that the General Assembly of the Commonwealth, they were in South Africa last year. They held a meeting because of the nature of these games. Is the first to be held in Africa. So the Commonwealth, the General Assembly, they are really not so much interested in taking it away from South Africa, and that's why I said they are testing the waters. What they are saying is that, look, we have fallen short on all of your criteria, and so what you are left with is to take it away from us. So let's see how it goes. It's not a direct violation of sort. It's just a situation where somebody is not able to meet a criteria. I don't know what will happen, but it's not like those situations where there is some sort of direct, in this case, just inability. And like I said, it's a new trend. It's not just an African thing. It's what is happening globally. I mean, cast your mind, Brazil hosted the World Cup, they hosted the Olympics. Everything is in shambles now. The president, well, not totally because of sports alone, but it's part of it. The president lost her job, the sports minister lost, I mean, a lot of things, and South Africa obviously don't want to have that on their hands.
So now, if Durban does host the Commonwealth Games, it will be the first time that Africa will be hosting these games. But if it's not able to, what effect will that have on Africa?
It's difficult. Really, South Africa is probably the only African country that you could close your eyes and say can host any sporting event of any magnitude based on what they have been able to do. Their pedigree, you can't just fault the South Africans when it comes to hosting major sporting events. They successfully held the World Cup, so you can't really argue. But in terms of Africa, it's a big blow because there's still that gap that we have not held the Commonwealth Games, we have not held the Olympics. This was supposed to be a springboard, because what the South Africans told us after hosting the World Cup was that they were ready for all of these things, and the Commonwealth was going to be the next thing for this. But now they're pulling out of this because of financial constraint. But in terms of sporting facilities, we have to say the truth. The South Africans they have it all.
Yemi Adubaya, thank you so much for joining us on Network Africa.
That was a pleasure.
In other news, Kenya's film industry has seen growing demand for domestic production since a directive by the government to broadcasters telling them to air a minimum of 40% local content. Filmmaker and entrepreneur Paul Kihuha is playing his part in the boom by building equipment at home and giving filmmakers access to cheaper props.
At a studio in Kenya's capital, Nairobi, a 29-year-old Paul Kihuha filmed himself trying out a new camera dolly made from locally sourced materials. It's just one of various film props created by Kihuha in his quest to provide local solutions for filmmakers who struggle to find and afford imported gear. Kihuha used his love for film and a knack for metalwork to teach himself how to build the equipment and started his company, Protesa Creations, in 2014.
I have always known metalwork, even though I never studied for it. My father was a blacksmith and a mechanic, and he had many tools, and I just loved them and what he did. So I learned from him. When it comes to video, I also never went to any formal school. The problem in film is equipment, because it can be very expensive, and I decided to come up with a locally available and affordable solution.
The growth of Kenya's film industry has been slow, although lately it's seen increased interest and activity. Screens have for years been dominated by Nigerian soaps, churned out in the thousands by Africa's largest film industry, Nollywood, as well as Latin American telenovelas and Hollywood productions. But then, Kenya moved to boost domestic production by requiring TV stations to show at least 40% local content.
There's no film school in Kenya. There is no film school in Kenya that can teach you how to make a slider, how to make a jig, how to repair a tripod. Most of these film schools actually do not have even that slider or most of the production equipment we are using. Somebody like Protesa, I think, it is an inborn talent, so we need to support those inborn talents. And film, I think, the more you are doing things on the set, the more experience you are getting.
Jacinta Mwangi is one of Kihua's customers. She runs a production company that specializes in documenting weddings and events.
At the shop, it was too expensive. It was about 100,000 shillings and something, but we got it at 25,000. We did it with less money, and it still is good because it works just like any other jib. When it's up, you can twist it in any direction and monitor the movements easily.
A study commissioned by the Kenya Film Commission says the local film industry was worth $2 billion in 2016, and that's up from $600 million in 2007.
And that's it on Network Africa. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Temi Tokwe Fagbemi.